Hey again, and welcome. This video is about tone and voice. So these are two of your vocabulary words. You may have already seen in the syllabus video that this could be on your test. Let me explain a little bit more and OPS. In either case, so here's the way your tests are going to work in this class. I want to make it fair, I want to make it relevant, and I want to make it easy for you. So here's what we're going to do. I promise to tell you every word that you will be tested upon. I will say something like, hey, this could be on your test. And then it's up to you to write that word down, right? To track that word. You will track that word as part of your vocabulary assignment. Every week there will be a part of the module that says, hey, what are your vocabulary words this week? And what I want you to do is to find those words. Most of them you'll find in video lectures. All of them? Question mark. Compile those into one fabulous list, and then use that information to prepare for your exam, right? So this video is here to talk to you about a couple of things regarding those terms, and there are three terms that I want to teach you today, right? The first is the term Kundiman, right? A Kundiman is you may have noticed we read a poem called Kundiman on a theme from Tila Rock by Patrick Rosal this week, right? And that's kind of a weird poem, if you want to be honest, right? If you listen to the video, if you watch the video of Patrick reading it, you get the sense of what the poem is about, or at least I do. I don't know, it feels kind of romantic, a little bit like... I don't know what I mean by this, but I'm standing by it. It feels like it's got this to it. I'm going to stand by that, right? Knowing what a Kundiman is can kind of unlock some of that. He says in the beginning that you don't need to know, but I think you might. I think it might help. So a Kundiman is a poetic form based upon Filipino love songs characterized by short lines and smooth rhythms. One more time. A Kundiman, that's Kundiman. A Kundiman is a poem based on Filipino love songs, characterized by smooth rhythms and short lines. Cool. So that means that when we know that we're dealing with a Kundiman, one, that helps us identify some of the key technical aspects that are going on here, right? Like, okay, this is that kind of poem, right? And it also gives us a hint on what the poem is about, right? So if these are originally love songs, I go back and I look at this with that idea in mind, and I'm like, oh, maybe each part of this is him describing someone he is in love with, right? And in looking through that, I notice and I'm supported by the tone of the poem. That's another word I want you to learn, the tone of the poem. So the tone means the attitude the poet adopts to their current idea, right? And I often find this is just me, that I can figure out the tone of a poem even when I don't know what it's about yet, right? That, like, by understanding what words they're using, how those words make me feel, how that all comes together, that I can sort of like recognize what it might be, the vibes that it's giving off, if I may use a parlance of the day, right? And this kind of, again, it has romantic vibes, if you will forgive it. It has kind of a sexy vibe to it, this poem does. And that comes across, right? The more that you read into these lines and think about what this poem means, the more that you'll like recognize there. So, the final thing that I want to talk to you about is, or the final term for the day, is voice. Voice is the unique characteristic that identifies each poem and poet, right? The things about each poem and each poet that make them unique, that make them stand out, that are just for them, right? This can include tone sometimes, but also includes word choice, slang, metaphor, use of localisms, rhythm, punctuation, spacing on the page. Almost anything a poet can do, or a poem can do, can sort of give it its own voice in this world, right? One of the things that I think is really interesting is to chart the difference between tone and voice, right? Two ways to think about this, right? We read multiple Patrick Rosal poems. That's the only one that I think is a love song. Yet is there a similarity? What do they add together, right? Yeah. Also, where do you see a big disruption between tone and voice, right? Between the author's attitude to what they're talking about and the author's attitude generally speaking. Kind of just food for thought, questions to think about. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Let me know what questions you guys have. Those are your 3 terms. Holler with what you need. Appreciate you.